is not news. A popular belief is not the truth. Credibility does not come from the number of views, but from facts. Nevertheless, journalism, professional journalism, will always start with one thing: ethics.
Thank you, team, for the wonderful theme video. I hope our audience got an overview of what we are discussing today.
We are delighted to have Dr. Binod Bhattrai sir and Binu Subedi ma'am as our panelists for today's media talk. To further introduce them to our audience, I'd like to call Pariksha Simkhada from BA second year to present our panelist profile.
Namaste and a hearty good morning to all present here. I, Pariksha Simkhada, a second-year student majoring in English and sociable. It is a great honor for me to introduce our highly esteemed guest who has played a key role in contributing in enhancing Nepal's media sector with their contributions while also representing it on the international platform. Now, let us take a moment to introduce our highly esteemed guests. Our first panelist for today, Dr. Binod Bhattrai, communication consultant and a media educator. He has provided trainings to journalists on a range of topics such as conflict-sensitive reporting, peace and investigative journalism. He also conducted journalism course in Nepal and China. He served as acting faculty for corporate managerial communications and business writing. Moving on to his educational background, Dr. Bhattrai recently earned his PhD from the Central Department of Journalism and Mass Communication from Tribhuvan University. He also holds a master's degree in journalism and mass communication from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Sorry. Please change the clock. Yes, thank you. From the mid of 1980s to 2009, Dr. Bhattrai significantly contributed to the field of journalism as a reporter, editor, and producer, with leading media outlets such as Kantipur, Radio Nepal, Nepali Times, and Nepal Television. He has also contributed as Nepal correspondent to the Financial Times based in the UK and Interpress Service in Italy. He is former president and current member of Nepal Forum of Environmental Journalism, and he is the former executive director of Nepal Press Institute. Moreover, he is the former general secretary at Center for Investigative Journalism, a pioneer NGO working in the field of investigative journalism. Moving on to his publications, Dr. Bhattrai has published Killing Journalism Softly by Alliance for Social Dialogue, a co-authored publication with Raghu Mainali in 2014 discussing self-censorship and press freedom in Nepal's post-2006 media landscape. Not only on national platform, he has also contributed on article titled Nepalese Rejoice as Democracy Returns to Country in 2006, co-authored with Todd Johnson, highlighting the mass celebration following the restoration of Nepal's parliament in the Irish Times, media hub based in the Ireland. Followed with a recent journal article published in Scholar, Journal of Arts and Humanities, titled The Antecedent of Media Capture in Experiential Text in Nepal, a critical review in 2024 in examining how economic constraint, low literacy, and political influence between 1950s to 2000 led to the enduring political alignment of Nepalese media, undermining its independence and professionalism. Further in his journey, he was awarded for the Best Environmental Award of the Year issued by Nepal Forum of Environmental Journalists in 1995, and he has been a part of various fellowship programs based on the UK and China. Now, it is my privilege to introduce our second esteemed panelist, Ms. Binu Subedi, a beat reporter focusing on covering current affairs in Nepal's parliament and government policies, And side by side, she also reports on marginalized communities, particularly during emergencies and other rising issues. Ms. Subedi has done her MA in Political Science from Tribhuvan University, and she has also participated in a fellowship program in International Relations and Affairs at St. Stephen College in India. Ms. Subedi has made significant contributions in amplifying the voice of people from diverse backgrounds in Nepal. She served as senior political journalist at Online Khabar, where she actively mentored young journalists and encouraged them to explore the fields of specialized and investigative journalism. One of her notable contributions include her work as the political editor at Setu Party from 2023 to 2025, where she also hosted Straight Talks with Binu Subedi, a widely viewed political dialogue series aired through YouTube that offered sharp, thoughtful discussions with the key stakeholders in Nepali politics. She also served as the lead researcher for content development of Samakor, a television series of 150 episodes aired on Nepal television through Sancharika Samuha from 2018 to 2019. Along with political concerns, her dedication towards socially responsible journalism provided us with harsh realities faced by vulnerable groups through her powerful article, "The Lockdown is Killing the Poor and the Marginalized," published in 2020, which highlighted the suffering of Patharig Musahar community, published in the Kathmandu Post. Similarly, Ms. Subedi has also contributed to addressing gender issues through her article titled "More Vulnerable to Climate Change Impact, Nepali Women Are Neglected in Solution Efforts," where she highlighted how Nepali women face disproportionate challenges due to limited access to resources, education, and decision-making opportunities in the online Khabar. In recognition of her fearless and compassionate reporting, recently, on May 4th, she received Ambika Devi Oli Smriti Rashtriya Patrakarita Puraskar as well. She was also honored with the prestigious award Gopal Gotame Memorial Award in 2020. Ms. Subedi was also honored with the Reporter of the Year Award by Kantipur Media Group in 2019. With such rich experience and impactful contributions from both our panelists, we are certain today's discussion will be insightful and thought-provoking. We especially look forward to exploring their perspectives on journalism ethics in the age of social media. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the talk.
Thank you, Pariksha, for familiarizing us with our panelists. Now, I request Rishika Shrestha from BA second year to recite a poem on ethical journalism.
Hello, warm greetings to everyone. I am Rishika Shrestha, a second year BA student majoring in journalism and English literature. And today I'm here to recite a poem entitled Changing Times, written by Arsha Sharma from batch 2022. Changing Times. The history shared the truth all over, once with communication, once with letter. Nevertheless, the era when music runs, it runs into the non-fictional information. Before the ink that drew the emotions, it drew the values, the laws. The silent verse of pen sings with the facts. From then to now, fingers have replaced the weapons. Sparkling the lights of the new media, where the artificial leading information manipulated the unknown accuracy of news. Was it the truth they follow or just the applause? Journalism expects to reflect the world's true faces, slowly turning into the source of disgrace. The truth become the fear of the nationality. The assumption personify the new honesty. But the new age with the new version. Sometimes it's misinformed, sometimes it's lawful. Yet, we manage to stream the whole issue, framed in the digital environment. As though the digital information, with the changes in time and age, the screaming voice of the information, to the pop-up notification on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishika, for such a wonderful poem.
Journalism. The fourth pillar of democracy is not just about dealing with current affairs, but also spreading awareness, educating people, and shaping public opinion. It has a huge responsibilities, and it gives journalism a certain amount of power on how information is gathered and shared among people.
The Press Council Nepal reported that in 2023 alone, over 183 online portals were found guilty of not adhering to journalistic code of conduct related to news sources.
Really? That's a huge number.
Exactly. And not only that, 44 online portals violated the journalistic code of conduct during the 2022 election. It shows that while the media is evolving, it also raises new and ethical dilemmas. Digital platforms such as online portals and social media have attracted today's generation where massive flow of information and news contents occurs every day.
And that's why we, the next generation of media literates, need to stay forward. Today, let's question and reflect on how we practice responsible and ethical journalism even in a fast and digital environment. So without any further delay, let's begin today's main event. I would like to request the student coordinator, Suniva Hada, to escort our guest speaker to the stage.
A warm good morning to everyone present here. I am Sanskriti Pokhrel, third-year journalism and English literature student.
And I am Riti Tuladha, a second-year BA student majoring in journalism and English. We are thrilled to welcome you all to the 39th edition of the Media Talk series, where today's discussion centers around one of the most pressing topics of our time, journalism ethics in the age of social media. But before we begin, we would like to congratulate you, Binod sir, for the completion of your PhD.
Thank you.
And congratulations to you, ma'am, for receiving Ambika Devi Oli Smriti Rashtriya Patrakarita Award.
Thank you.
Now, let's begin with a quick audience check-in. Audiences, please raise your hand if you primarily use social media platforms to get updated on current affairs.
Wow, that's a lot of hands. That already tells us how relevant this topic is. Thank you, everyone. Moving on, we would like to start our conversation. Good morning, ma'am, sir. This is a question for both of you. Please feel free to answer in Nepali or English. We just noticed that most of us rely on social media for news and other updates. As journalism is in the phase of transition, how do you observe the state of journalism in the age of social media?
I think this was a question I was expecting, so I brought you some numbers. And according to the Nepal Media Survey 2024, and it's the only proprietary survey that's done in Nepal, that gives you an idea of what's happening around us. So here are some numbers that will help you to put things in context. Okay, let me see. If you look at Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, in terms of the growth, between April and December 2024, in April, there was 64% Nepalis getting information from there or using it. It jumped to 74% in December. Similarly, with YouTube, it was 64 and 74. TikTok was banned earlier in the year, but then by the time it came to December, it was 51.8%. So right now, even though we still have the legacy or traditional media around, people of your generation are getting more of their news and information from social media. Sometimes it could be content produced by traditional media. Sometimes it could be content created by content creators who are most of the time working alone, don't have people to edit their content or mediate. That mediation role is missing. So I sometimes think about what's happening around me and sometimes wonder if I have to go back to school and study social media and journalism again. So I'm as much in the hoods as all of you are about what's going on. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question again in Nepali?
अहिले अब मान्छेहरूले धेरै जस्तो अपडेटहरू सोसियल मिडियाबाट पाइरहेको छ नि त हैन अनि तपाईँ एज अ जर्नलिस्ट हैन तपाईँले यो कसरी हेर्नुहुन्छ यो सिचुएसनलाई
थ्याङ्क यू तपाईहरु सबैजनाले नेपाली बुझ्नुहुन्छ होला नभने अधिकांशले बुझ्नुहुन्छ होला म चाहिँ नेपालीमै लेख्ने भएको भएर नेपालीमा भन्न सजिलो मान्छु त्यसकारणले यस्तो हो समाचार त हामीले मिडिया प्लेटफर्ममै लेख्छौं मिडियाहरुमै लेख्छौं सञ्चार माध्यमहरुमै लेख्छौं फेसबुकमा लेखेको त स्ट्याटस हो नि त हैन टिकटकमा बनाएको नि भिडियो अथवा रिल हो त्यो समाचार होइन त्यसकी सूचनासम्म हुन सक्छन् ती चाहिँ के हुन् भने हामीले अहिले चाहिँ हामीले नबुझेको अथवा बुझाउन नसकिएको अथवा आफैले ओन गर्न नसकेको कुरा के हो भने समाचार हामीले सोशल मिडियाहरुबाट लिइरहेका छौं त्यो भनेको चाहिँ बाटो हो त्यो मिडियम मात्रै हो मिडियम त जे पनि हुन सक्यो नि त हैन तर सूचनाको सोर्स समाचार के हो कहाँ लेखिन्छ कहाँ लेखिएको कुरा समाचार हो र के कुराहरु पुर्याएर लेखिएको चीज समाचार हो भन्ने कुरा त हामीहरुलाई हाम्रा गुरुहरुले पनि पढाउनु भएको छ र हामीले रिपोर्टिङ गर्ने बेलामा हामीले थाहा पनि पाएका छौं त्यसकारणले मलाई के लाग्छ भने हामी एकदमै डराएको जस्तो सोशल मिडियाले चाहिँ सबै चीज बिगार्दिनै सक्यो अथवा सबै क्याप्चरै गरिसक्यो फेसबुकमा एकजनाले स्ट्याटस लेख्यो भने त्यो समाचार भइसक्यो भन्ने होइन फेसबुकमा आएको अथवा इन्स्टामा आएको अथवा टिकटकमा आएको अथवा ट्विटरमा आएको जे कुराहरु छन् त्यो चाहिँ मिडियम मात्रै हो बाटो मात्रै हो हामीले लेखेको समाचार हिँड्ने बाटो हो हिँड्दै हिँड्दै हामी कहाँ आइपुगेको हो जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
Thank you, ma'am. It is quite remarkable and rather astonishing how information spreads quickly online. In 1 minute, one video, one tweet, and one reel, it suddenly becomes talk of town. But ma'am, in this rush to go viral, are we compromising our ethical standards? And how can we, as an audience, be sure that what we see and what we see is actually true?
Translate it in Nepali. मलाई नेपालीमै सोध्नु किनभने मलाई नेपाली भन्न सजिलो
हुन्छ हुन्छ अनलाइनमा चाहिँ जानकारी एकदमै छिटो फैलिने गरेको छ 1 मिनेटमा एउटा भिडियो एउटा रिल र एउटा ट्विट अचानक चर्चाको विषय बन्न पुग्छ तर भाइरल हुने हतारमा के हामीले सन्देशहरू पोस्ट गर्दा हाम्रो नैतिक मापदण्ड सम्झौता गरिरहेका छौं त र हामी कसरी पक्का हुन सक्छौं कि हामीले जे कुरा देखेको र शेयर गर्छौं त्यो वास्तवमा सत्य हो भनेर
यो पनि फेरि अघि मैले भनेकै कुरासँग जोडिन्छ किनभने हामीले चाहिँ अनलाइनमा फैलिरहेको कुरालाई चाहिँ कसरी ओन गरिरहेका छौं अथवा हाम्रो ऑडियन्स को हुन् र कुन चाहिँ तपाईले पत्रकारिता गरेर समाचार लेखेर समाचार बनाएर र समाचार भनेको के हो भन्ने कुरा नै हामीले चाहिँ इन्स्योर गरेर दिइराखेको कुरा चाहिँ भाइरल भइराखेको छ अथवा फलानो र फलानो दुईजना श्रीमान श्रीमतीको झगडा त्यस्तो हो नि त अहिले भाइरल भएको त हैन अथवा अघि तपाईहरुले देखाउनु भएको यतिको भिडियो हैन त्यस्ता चीजहरु भाइरल भएका हुन् नि त त्यो चाहिँ साच्चीकै पत्रकारिता हो कि हैन भनेर चाहिँ अब हामीहरुले छलफल गर्ने बेला भएको छ के अहिले हामीले के भनेका छौं भने यो मिडियालाई चाहिँ सबै यो 1 मिनेटको भिडियो 30 सेकेन्डको रिल्स हैन अथवा इन्स्टामा आउने 15 सेकेन्डको भिडियो यी कुराहरुले चाहिँ मिडियाको रोलै यिनीहरुले चाहिँ अब सकाइदिन आँटिसके भनेको जस्तो गर्छौँ हामीले भन्ने बेलामा पनि हामीलाई अरूले बुझाउँदा नि त्यसरी बुझाउँछन् अब यो जर्नलिजमको त के काम छ र भने जस्तो गर्छन्। त्यसो हुँदा त यो सेन्ट जेभियरले जर्नलिजम पनि किन पढाउने र तिनै भिडियो मिडिया हुन् र त्यहीले नै क्याप्चर गरिराखेको हो भनेर हामीले पत्याउने, हामीले विश्वास गर्ने र हामीलाई त्यही हो भन्ने लाग्ने हो भने अहिले हामीले नै बुझ्नुपर्ने कुरा के हो भने हामीले गरिराखेको चाहिँ जर्नलिजम हो। हामीले जे लेखिराखेका छौँ मेन स्ट्रिम मिडिया भने पनि अथवा युट्युबकै प्लेटफर्म युज गरेर भए पनि कति त राम्रा छन् नि त। हेर्ने कथा त एउटा उदाहरणै छ हाम्रो नेपालमा होइन, अरूहरू नै छन् जस्तो सुधीर शर्माले अहिले भर्खरै अनि अब चलाउनु भएको छ, त्यो पनि राम्रो एकदमै इन्साइटफुल इन्टरभ्यूहरूको सिरिजहरू छ। तर हामीले कुन कुरालाई चाहिँ ओन गर्ने एकदमै भाइरल त्यो चाहिँ हाम्रो अब अडियन्सको क्यापासिटी, हाम्रो एजुकेसनको लेभल, हाम्रो साक्षरता दर र हामीले के कुरालाई चाहिँ म्यानिपुलेट गर्न खोजिरहेका छौँ भन्ने कुरामा भर पर्छ। यो भाइरल भइराखेको छ अहिले। अघि यहाँहरूले भन्दाखेरि पनि हाम्रो जर्नलिजम चाहिँ एकदमै ट्रान्जिसनल फेजमा छ भनेर भन्नुभयो, प्रेजेन्ट गर्ने बेलामा पनि त्यस्तो हो जस्तो पनि लाग्छ। एकदमै सङ्कटमा पो हो कि सकिनै पो आँट्या हो कि अब त एउटा व्यक्तिले मिडिया चलाउने हो कि एक घर एक मिडिया होइन, एक व्यक्ति एक युट्युब हुने हो कि भन्ने डर त छ नि हामी सबैजनालाई। तर हामीले चाहिँ नसोचेको दिमागमा नहालेको कुरा के हो भने हामीले गरिराखेको चाहिँ साँच्चीकै पत्रकारिता हो कि होइन, त्यो चाहिँ हो कि होइन, अथवा हामी चाहिँ उनीहरूभन्दा कति फरक हो भन्ने हो नि त। जस्तो म तपाईँहरूलाई भन्दाखेरि राविश कुमार, हामीले एकदमै राविश कुमार भनिराखेका हुन्छौँ नि त बितेको 3-4 वर्ष यता उहाँले युट्युब खोलेपछि। तर उहाँले त्यो एनडिटिभीमा हुँदाखेरि गरेको रिपोर्टिङ कस्तो थियो? किसानका, जनताका, छोराछोरीका, मजदुरका, दुखीहरूका, दिन दुखीका होइन, पोलिसीका। अहिले राविश कुमारको भिडियो के गोदी मिडिया ने ऐसा किया वैसा किया, त्यहाँ बाहेक अरू छैन नि त। त्यो राविश कुमारले गरेको जति भाइरल भए पनि त्यो पत्रकारिता हो कि होइन त भन्ने कुरामाथि चाहिँ फेरि छलफल गर्ने बेला चाहिँ भएको छ। तपाईँहरूले एकदम राइट टाइममा यो यस्तोलाई चाहिँ कसरी इन्स्योर कसरी लिने भनेर जसरी भनिराख्नु भएको छ, क्वेसन उठाउने बेला चाहिँ यही नै होला। तर अब यो सबै मिडियालाई चाहिँ अरूले सोसियल मिडियाको थ्रुबाट अनि अलि फरक वेबाट होइन भाइरल हुने तरिकाले चाहिँ क्याप्चर भइसक्यो भनेर डराउनै पर्दैन भन्ने लाग्छ मलाई।
मलाई सेम क्वेसन हो, एकचोटि सम्झाइदिनु न। जस्ट क्यान यु रिड द क्वेसन?
सम्झाइदिनु।
So there is a rush to go viral nowadays. So in this rush to go viral, are we compromising our ethical standards in posting messages or news? And how can we be sure that what we see and hear is actually true?
I think there are two sides to your question. One is about creating and posting content online, and who's doing that? Now, you need to start with that. Is it you as an individual, or is it a medium as an institution? If it is a medium as an institution, say for example, a traditional media institute or even online media, then what you need to assume is there is some level of mediation going on over there. We might not be the best mediators in Nepal for various other reasons, but that content is going through a process. So when it goes out, and as she said, it's carried by social platforms. That does not do as much harm. So now there's another side to that content creation, is that content that is being created by individuals, most of the time working alone, without anyone to first bounce whatever they've written or produce before putting it online. Now, that type of content is something that's beyond the control of anyone because it's not discussed, not mediated. And now that's just an individual's expression. So how do you prevent the people from being carried away by those content? Again, you need to go back to that individual and try to educate them on what's happening around us in terms of what is social media. I think there's a huge gap in terms of digital literacy, even media literacy. So if you don't understand that whatever is in the media is also a mediated reality, and if you just believe everything to be true, even what the traditional media say, then you are creating problems for yourself. So it's about education and awareness. And I think one of the ways to avoid that, because I just hate that word viral. I think it's there and some people like to be that. And I saw my picture over there and I was so scared I had posted that picture somewhere on a trek, and then you guys found it. And that's the problem with the internet. You put anything out there right now, it's going to come back and haunt you 50 years from now. It's never going to die. So you need to be careful, and again, like I said, we need to educate the receivers of information. And as far as the producers of mediated content are concerned, you need to regulate them. With individuals, you need to educate them. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
Sir, so when we do talk about digital literacy, right, what do you think is the state of media literacy in Nepal?
Ask me. I'm an example, like nearing my 60s, so I think I know everything, but I don't, especially when it comes to the new platforms. I use one or two of them, and that I do purposefully as someone who's looking at what's happening there. I don't use it to post things about myself. I don't want to be viral. In fact, I want to hide from whatever is around us. So I think digital literacy, if you take me as an example, and I'm someone who's educated, who's seen the world, and I believe that I don't know enough of what's going on around me. Now you just think about what could be happening with everyone else. I know younger people, all of you here, are better at running your fingers on the phone and posting pictures, taking pictures, chatting, all of that. But is that digital literacy? Again, we need to think about that. Are we aware of what we are doing and what could happen to us from our actions today, 20 years down the line? I think that's my answer.
Thank you, sir. Now, before we move on to the next question, let's have a quick quiz session for our audience. Sanskriti, do you want to read the question out loud?
Surely. The question is, according to Data Reportal, what is the number of internet users in Nepal from data collected in January 2025? The options are, option A, 16.5 million users, B, 14.1 million users, C, 17.1 million users, and option D, 15.8 million users. Before answering, please do mention your name, batch, and major. We would also like the volunteers to note down the name of a student who answers it right.
Hi, I'm Amisha, BA third year student. So the answer is option A, 16.5 million.
Yes, that is the correct answer. Thank you so much. So the next question is towards Sir. As per the Journalist Code of Conduct, journalists are expected to verify information from multiple sources. So, but during the, at times like breaking news scenarios such as natural disasters or protest crackdowns, do you think fact-checking gets sacrificed too easily?
Can you answer the last part of your question?
Do you think fact-checking gets sacrificed too easily during
Well, now, if you are doing journalism, you don't have a choice. You need to check your facts. And now there's this standard rule about checking your facts independently with at least 3 independent sources. But then you just mentioned that I used to write for the Financial Times. I just printed out their editorial guidelines or the editorial code, a recent one, and that said, you need to check your facts with at least 2. So I think now that's come down to 2, but you need to do that. Because I think that's when you are most likely to get your facts wrong. Because you want to be first, but you don't want to be correct. I think the long winner in the long run is the one who's correct all the time. So I think there's no way around fact checking and making sure that your information is confirmed by at least 2 independent sources, if not 3.
Ma'am, मैले हजुरलाई नेपालीमै सोध्न चाहे आज धेरै जसो प्रमुख नेपाली मिडिया हाउसहरूले दैनिक रिल र छोटो भिडियोहरू पोस्ट गर्ने हामी देखिरहेको हुन्छौँ पत्रकारितालाई नै 30 सेकेन्डको रिल अथवा भिडियोमा संकुचित गरिएको हो कि जस्तो पनि लाग्छ कि नेपालमा टिकटक र इन्स्टाग्राम जस्ता प्लेटफर्महरूमा समाचार कसरी प्याकेज गर्ने भन्ने नियम नेपालमा इन्स्टाग्राम जस्ता प्लेटफर्महरूमा समाचार कसरी प्याकेज गर्ने भनेर नियम गर्ने एउटा नैतिक निर्देशिका हुनुपर्छ कि पर्दैन जस्तो लाग्छ?
नियमन गर्नलाई होइन त्यसो भन्न खोज्नुभयो होला। यस्तो हुँदो रहेछ, जस्तो चिया पसल पनि कहाँ खोलिन्छ भने जहाँ चाहिँ अलि धेरै सरकारी अफिसहरू छ होइन, जहाँ धेरै मान्छेहरू छन् त्यस्तो ठाउँमा खोलिन्छ नि त चिया पसल। त्यहाँ यो तपाईँहरूको कलेजबाट गयो भने त्यहाँनिर एउटा चिया अड्डा छ, किन छ भने तपाईँहरूको कलेज यहाँनिर छ, त्यहाँनिर मार्टिन चौतारी छ, उतापट्टि विभिन्न कुराहरू छन् नि त। हो मिडिया भनेको ठ्याक्कै त्यस्तो हो। आफ्नो अडियन्स कहाँ धेरै छ उसले खोज्दाखेरि अब त्यो टिकटकमा इन्स्टामा त धेरै ठुलो बनाउन मिल्दैन, त्यसो हुँदाखेरि प्याकेजिङ गर्ने हो। त्यो चाहिँ के हो भने अब अघि तपाईँहरूले भन्नुभयो नि यो भाइरल हुने कुराले चाहिँ फेरि यो मिडियाको चाहिँ विश्वसनीयता नै फेरि खलबलियो कि भने जस्तो कुरा त्यो नहोस् भनेर अब त्यहाँ पनि फेरि हामीले आफ्नो उपस्थिति जनाएको। त्यसो हुँदा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने 30 सेकेन्डकै भए पनि साँचो कुरा जाने भयो नि त, सत्य कुरा जाने भयो नि त, त्यसलाई प्याकेज त गर्न पर्यो। जस्तो मैले 30 सेकेन्डको रेडियो रिपोर्ट बनाएको छु कुनै बेला होइन, मैले 1 लाइनको समाचार लेखेको छु कुनै बेला, संसद विघटन प्रधानमन्त्री केपी शर्मा ओलीले गरे संसद विघटन 1 लाइनको, त्यो पनि कुनै बेला परिस्थितिले चाहिँ त्यो गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। र तर अब अहिले चाहिँ कस्तो छ भने मिडियाहरूले जस्तो कान्तिपुरले बनाएको, अनलाइन खबरले बनाएको, सेतो पार्टीले बनाएको, लोकान्तरले बनाएको त्यस्ता भिडियोहरूमा त कुनै त्यस्तो समस्या पनि छैन नि त। उनीहरूले आफूले जुन रिपोर्टिङ गरिरहेका छन् त्यसलाई समराइज गर्छन्, त्यहाँबाट स्पेसल थोरै जुन कुरा इन्ट्रेस्टिङ हुन्छ जसले चाहिँ सूचनालाई पुरा गर्न सक्छ। र अडियन्स त विभिन्न खालका हुँदो रहेछन्, हेर्नुहोस् पुरै लामा हजारौँ वटा पढ्न चाहनेहरू पनि हुँदो रहेछन्, ठिक्कको 500-700 शब्दका समाचार पढ्न चाहने पनि हुँदो रहेछन्, र कोही त त्यति भिडियो मात्रै हेरेर पनि फेरि त्यसलाई सूचना ठान्ने अडियन्स हुँदो रहेछन्, स्ट्याटस हेरेर त्यही सूचना हो त्यही समाचार हो भन्ने ठान्ने पनि हुँदो रहेछन्। अहिले मान्छेहरूलाई एउटा त्यो रिसर्च नै थियो, त्यो सेयरकास्ट होइन सर, सेयरकास्टको रिसर्च थियो, सबैभन्दा धेरै सूचना लिने कहाँबाट भन्दा फेसबुकको कहाँबाट भन्दा रुटिन अफ नेपाल भन्दाबाट। रुटिन अफ नेपाल भन्दामा कति शब्दको 100 भन्दा नि 100 पनि छैन, त्यहाँ यत्रो सानो स्ट्याटस हुन्छ होइन। त्यसो हुँदा चाहिँ त्यस्तो स्ट्याटसमा हामीले चाहिँ किन काम नगर्ने त? यो चाहिँ मिडियाले गर्न ढिलो भएको चाहिँ अलि अगाडि नै उनीहरूले रियलाइज गरिसक्नु पर्थ्यो। तर के भयो भने अर्को कोही आएर चाहिँ त्यहाँ साम्राज्य खडा गरिसकेपछि अब जबरजस्ती चाहिँ बाध्य भएर त्यहाँ उपस्थित हुन पर्यो, नत्र भए त सधैँ छैन नि त। अब युट्युब होइन टिकटक एउटा समूहले चलाउँछ, त्यहाँ त मेन स्ट्रिम मिडियाको उपस्थिति नै छैन। कसरी उपस्थित हुने भन्दा 30 सेकेन्डको रिल्स चाहिँ कसरी बनाउने, अनलाइन खबरले रिल्स मात्रै बनाउनको लागि सानो भिडियो बनाउनको लागि छुट्टै जनशक्ति त्यहाँ तयार पारिसकेको छ। किनभने त्यो नभएसम्म अब हामी चाहिँ त्यहाँ उपस्थित हुन नसक्ने भयौँ, र त्यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ अरूले नै त्यहाँ के गर्ने भयो, अरू नै त्यहाँ आएर चाहिँ विभिन्न खालका कन्टेन्टहरू ल्याउने भए जुन जर्नलिजमको इथिक्स पनि छैन, कोड अफ कन्डक्ट पनि छैन। र त्यो देखेर चाहिँ मान्छेहरूले कसलाई गाली गर्छन्, पत्रकारलाई गाली गर्छन्, मलाई गाली गर्छन्, सरलाई गाली गर्छन्, अर्कोलाई गाली गर्छन्। त्यसो हुँदा चाहिँ त्यहाँ उपस्थित हुनु राम्रो हो, तर त्यसलाई चाहिँ नियमन त गर्नुपर्छ। नियमन गर्दा जस्तो हामीलाई नियमन, अनलाइन खबरलाई नियमन गर्ने, सेतो पार्टीलाई गर्ने, कान्तिपुरलाई गर्ने, अर्को मिडियालाई गर्ने भनेर ल्याउँदा त फेरि अल्टिमेटली अरू कन्टेन्ट क्रिएटर्सहरू जसको चाहिँ खास आफूले कन्टेन्ट उत्पादन गरेर पैसा कमाउने भन्दा अर्को उद्देश्य नभएकोहरूलाई पनि त्यहाँ नियमन हुने भयो। त्यही भएर नियमन गर्न जरुरी छ। प्रेस काउन्सिलले पक्कै गर्छ होला, गर्छौँ हामीले युट्युबहरूलाई पनि नियमन गर्नको लागि, अथवा साना मिडियाहरूलाई, सोसियल मिडियाहरूलाई पनि गर्नको लागि चाहिँ हामीले बनाइराखेकै छौँ, आचार संहिता बनाएका छौँ, के बनाएका छौँ भनेर उनीहरूले भनिराखेकै हुन्छन्। त्यो जरुरी पनि छ। र सबैभन्दा ठुलो कुरा त स्वनियमन हो नि त, आत्मअनुशासन हो नि त। तपाईहरूले 2 वर्ष +2मा, 4 वर्ष ब्याचलरमा, 2 वर्ष मास्टर्समा जर्नलिजम किन पढेको त भन्दा चाहिँ आफू आत्मअनुशासित हुनका निमित्त हो। जर्नलिस्ट र मिडिया हाउसहरूले चाहिँ अरूले हेरिदियोस् हामीले गल्ती गऱ्यौँ कि सही गऱ्यौँ भन्ने भन्दा पनि हामी को हौँ त, हामीले कस्तो गरेका छौँ भनेर सोच्ने हो जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई।
Thank you, ma'am. Now, this question is for Sir. How can one create ethical balance between journalistic freedom and expression of any type of bias, especially during the times of conflict and, in online media?
Again, actually, question very well.
During the times of conflict in war zones and other places, there is there's expression of bias everywhere, especially in online media. And how can journalists create an ethical they can create like they have a ethical balance in it.
Okay. No, it applies for every type of media, not just online media, not just during conflicts. I think all media require audiences. Audiences who are serious audiences like content that they can rely on, something they can rely on to make their decisions that are going to affect their lives. So, if I were to run an online media today, what I would do is, as I just told you earlier, I would not wait for the press council to come and regulate me. In fact, with the type of code of, it's got a funny name, Code of Journalistic Ethics. That's, I think, something what the press council code is called. And then there are two things over there already. One is ethics, one is a code. Now, what's the difference between the two? Like, ethics is something that you internalize. It's something that you want to be identified with. Say, if I say I won't tell a lie, if I lie, no one is going to punish me. But if that's my ethical standard, I try not to tell a lie myself. And then now, if I violate some code, then I'm supposed to be punished. So I actually don't like that way that we are being regulated right now. And if I were to run a media, would actually make a code for my media, for my journalistic outlet, and make sure that I enforce this internally. And I think in the long run, every outlet should have a code of conduct that could be based on international or national practices, good practices, not the bad ones, because sometimes like our code has just too many details, which I know that people violate every day. That's not going to work very much. So make it simple, make it something that you can uphold, and go along and do your journalism. Have a code for yourself. Simple as that.
Thank you, sir. It is time for another round of quiz session for our audiences. Audiences, please listen carefully. The question is, in what year was the Journalist Code of Conduct? Sorry. Hello. Okay. In what year was the Journalist Code of Conduct last amended? Option A, 2073, B, 2076, C, 2078, and D, 2080.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rosie Shrestha, Section C, studying psychology and measure English. And the answer is answer C. Sorry, B, sorry.
Answer D?
B.
B. Could you please spell the year as well?
2076.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. अब यो प्रश्न चाहिँ म्यामलाई तपाईलाई नेपालमा मिडिया साक्षरताको हाल कस्तो छ जस्तो लाग्छ र यसको साथसाथै यहाँ मानिसहरूमा नक्कली समाचार पत्ता लगाउन वा पूर्वाग्रह बुझ्न वा स्रोतहरू प्रमाणित गर्न सक्षम छन् यता?
फ्याक्ट चेकिङको कुरा होला हैन त्यो? यस्तो छ, नेपालमा मिडिया साक्षरता चाहिँ अब साक्षरै अवस्थामा छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई हैन। साक्षर हैन, सामान्य पढ्न लेख्न सक्ने भने जस्तो खालको। किनभने हामी कहाँ चाहिँ अझैसम्म पनि अलि ठुला जस्तो, मैले त पत्रकारिता गरेकै 20 वर्ष भयो नि त, 11 पढ्दाखेरि नै सुरु गरे हो। त्यो हिसाबले नि 20 वर्ष भयो। 20 वर्ष हुँदा त पत्रकारको घर त लास्टै राम्रो हुनुपर्ने हो नि त हैन, यो मिडियालाई बुझ्ने हिसाबले अनि समाचार ओन गर्ने हिसाबले। हाम्रो आमाले चाहिँ अहिले नि मलाई के भन्नुहुन्छ भने गाउँमा गएको बेलामा त्यो युट्युब चलाउनेहरू तर राम्रोसँग नचलाउनेहरू घर झगडा यताउता लिएर तिनीहरूको नाम लिएर त्यसलाई चिन्छेस् भनेर सोध्नुहुन्छ कि आमाले। अनि मैले अब के भन्ने, अब त्यसलाई चिन्छु भन्ने कि चिन्दिनँ भन्ने। अनि आमाले भन्नुहुन्छ त्यस्तै भए पो भनेर भन्नुहुन्छ फेरि मलाई हैन। बाले नि त्यही भन्नुहुन्छ, गाउँका अरूले नि त्यही भन्छन्, यत्रो 20 वर्ष काम गरेँ, दुःख गरेँ, सङ्घर्ष गरेँ भन्छेस्, तँलाई यता कसैले चिन्दैनन्, त्यसलाई चाहिँ सबैले चिन्छन् भन्नुहुन्छ। त्यो भनेको चाहिँ साक्षरताको नै कुरा होला। त्यस कारणले हामी कहाँ चाहिँ के कुरालाई मिडिया भन्ने हो, के कुरालाई चाहिँ हामीले लिने हो र के कुरा चाहिँ मान्छेले आफ्नो रोजीरोटीका निमित्त अथवा आफ्नो कुण्ठाका निमित्त अथवा कुनै न कुनै उद्देश्यका निमित्त काम गरिरहेको छ भन्ने कुरा बुझ्न अझै समय लाग्छ। मेरै घर त्यस्तो हुन्छ भने अब अरू ठाउँमा स्वाभाविक रूपमा हुन्छ होला, किनभने मैले नै पनि त मैले बुझाउन सकेको छैन नि त। मसँग मेरो दाइको छोरी सँगै बस्छे, अनि उसले अस्ति एउटा कुरामा एकदमै यो राजावादी आन्दोलनको बेलामा एकदम ठुलो आर्ग्युमेन्ट गरी कि पूर्व राजा त्यस बेलाका वीरेन्द्रलाई चाहिँ फलानुले मारेकै हो भन्छ होइन। लडाइँ गरी मसँग ऊ यति धेरै आधी घन्टा 1 घन्टासम्म मैले भन्छु यो काहीँ केही कुनै पुष्टि नै भएको छैन भन्छु। उसले कुनै युट्युबमा हेरेकी रहेछ र त्यो युट्युबको मान्छेले प्रेजेन्टरले चाहिँ यो फलानुले मारेको भनेर किटान गरेको रहेछ, उसलाई त्यो कुरा सत्य लाग्यो। भनेको त्यो चाहिँ लिट्रेसी नभए हो, तपाईँहरू जस्तै पढ्ने हो, अहिले 12मा पढ्छ होइन। अनि बुझ्नुपर्ने हो नि त, यो फुपूले कामै गरेकी छन् यत्रो समयदेखि, उनलाई थाहा होला कति कुरा भन्नुपर्ने हो। तर उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ के लाग्छ भने यो यिनै सोसियल मिडियाहरूमा घुमिरहेका जसरी हावा जस्तै गरी फैलिरहेका छन् त्यही कुरा सत्य हो भन्ने लाग्छ। त्यस कारणले हामी कहाँ चाहिँ मिडिया लिट्रेसी चाहिँ एकदमै दयनीय अवस्थामा छ। साक्षरै पनि छैन कि जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ, सामान्य अक्षर चिन्ने खालको पनि छैन कि जस्तो लाग्छ। मिडिया दिनेहरू भन्दा पनि रिसिभरमै पनि समस्या, अनि त्यसपछि हामी जो दिन्छौँ हामीहरूमै पनि समस्या, सबैतिर समस्या भएको भएर यो भएको भन्ने लाग्छ। प्लस यसमा अर्को के थियो तपाईँको?
के थियो भने यहाँ मान्छेहरूमा नक्कली समाचार पत्ता लगाउन, पूर्वाग्रह बुझ्न वा स्रोतहरू प्रमाणित गर्न सक्षम छन् र त्यसका साथसाथै मिडिया साक्षरता बलियो भयो भने सामाजिक सञ्जालमा पत्रकारिताको नैतिकतालाई कसरी कायम राख्न सकिन्छ?
यो चाहिँ जस्तो कस्तो भयो भने फ्याक्ट चेकिङको कुरालाई चाहिँ हामीले कसरी लियौँ भने त्यो चाहिँ समाचार लेख्नेहरूले दिनेहरूले मैले मेरो समाचारको फ्याक्ट चेक चाहिँ मैले भन्दा राम्रोसँग अर्कोले गर्न सक्दैन भन्ने हुनुपर्ने हो खासमा होइन। मैले लेख्दा म त पोलिटिकल रिपोर्टिङ गर्छु, सबभन्दा धेरै र्युमर त पोलिटिकल रिपोर्टिङमै फैलिन्छ भनेर उहाँहरूले बेला रिसर्च गरेर सामग्री पनि निकाल्नुहुन्छ। किनभने मैले लेख्ने समाचारमा कहिलेकाहीँ सोर्स नै हुँदैन। क्याबिनेट हुन्छ, क्याबिनेटको एउटा मन्त्री 2टा मन्त्रीलाई भनिन्छ, सोधिन्छ, अनेक गरेर सोर्स बनाएर ल्याइएको हुन्छ। त्यो मन्त्रीको नाम राख्यो भने त भोलिपल्ट क्याबिनेटबाट उसलाई निकालिहाल्छन् नि प्रधानमन्त्रीले, किन दिएको सूचना भनेर हामीलाई दिनु पनि पर्ने छ होइन। त्यस कारणले चाहिँ अब कहिलेकाहीँ तिनीहरूले हामीलाई म्यानिपुलेट पनि गर्छन् होला, फेरि नभएको कुरा पनि उनीहरूलाई मन लागे जस्तै गरी भनिदिन्छन् होला, त्यसलाई हामीले फेरि विश्वास गर्ने होला, किनभने अघिल्लोचोटि दिएको सत्य थियो, भोलि पनि उसले साँच्चै कुरा दिन्छ भन्ने पनि हुन्छ होला होइन। त्यस कारणले यो हामीले नै यो फ्याक्ट चेकिङलाई चाहिँ जो जर्नलिस्ट हो जसले समाचार लेखिरहेको छ त्यसले नै एकदम धेरै, अघि उहाँले भन्नुभयो नि 2टा सोर्स 3टा सोर्सको चाहिँ क्रस कटिङ भेरिफिकेसन, त्यो कुरालाई चाहिँ हामीले आफैले मनन गरेको भए, गर्न सकेको भए चाहिँ यो क्वेसनै उठ्दैन थियो, अलि अगाडिसम्म चाहिँ उठ्दैन थियो पनि। अब यो पछिल्लो समयमा भएको कुरा हो। अर्को चाहिँ के भयो भने फ्याक्ट चेकिङ भन्ने बित्तिकै मिडियालाई के लाग्न थाल्यो भने चाहिँ यो चाहिँ एनजिओ आइएनजिओहरूको काम हो भन्ने लाग्न थाल्यो क्या। यो चाहिँ अब प्रोजेक्ट आउँछ, यो केले उता युएसहरूले दिन्छ अथवा युकेहरूले दिन्छ अथवा फलानुले दिन्छ, युएनको एउटा कसले दिन्छ, उनीहरूले गर्छ नि, त्यो उनीहरूले आफ्नो काम गर्छन्, उनीहरूको धन्दा गर्छन्, उनीहरूको जागिर बचाउँछन् भन्ने खालको भयो। त्यस कारणले त्यसो हुँदा चाहिँ फ्याक्ट चेकिङ र अनि मिडिया आउटलेट हामीले ल्याउने समाचार र फ्याक्ट चेकिङ चाहिँ 2टा बाटो जस्तो भयो क्या, यस्तो खालको भयो। त्यो चाहिँ सँगसँगै हिँड्नुपर्ने हो, मिडिया हाउसमै हिँड्नुपर्ने हो, हामीले नै गर्नुपर्ने हो। मैले लेखेको समाचार म अर्को हेर्ने अर्को साथीले गरिदिनु पर्ने हो अथवा मैले आफैले गर्नुपर्ने हो। त्यस कारणले त्यो चाहिँ अलिकति मिलिराखेको छैन। त्यही भएर मिडिया ओनरहरूले, मिडिया सञ्चालकहरूले नै सोच्नुपर्ने के हो भने हाम्रो समाचारको फ्याक्ट चाहिँ हामीले नै चेक गरेर अनि बल्ल पब्लिस गर्छौँ भन्ने सोच्नुपर्ने हो। यहाँ त पहिला छापेर अनि एडिट गर्ने चलन छ अहिले त, म पनि त्यसै गर्छु। कहिलेकाहीँ हतार हुन्छ नि त, अर्कोले छापिदिइसक्छ, फेरि समस्या छ यहाँ त, फेरि भिजिटर ल्याउनु पर्यो, आएन भने फेरि साउजीले गाली गर्छन्, त्यस्तो अनेक खालको समस्या छ क्या। त्यही भएर अब यसलाई चाहिँ सँगसँगै हिँडाउने खालको हुनुपर्ने हो र फ्याक्ट चेकिङ चाहिँ डोनरको काम होइन भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ मिडियाहरूले बुझ्यो भने तपाईँले भन्नुभएको प्रश्नको जवाफ भेटिन्छ भन्ने लाग्छ मलाई।
Okay, I had to admit this. I have definitely clicked on one of those super dramatic headlines only to find out that the story had nothing to do with it. But here is a thought. Is clickbait always unethical? Or is it just a clever way to grab attention in a very crowded digital world? So this question is for you.
Well, people want, like she just said, she just said that you want your stuff to be read, which actually leads journalists to use headlines that may not always be true. Now, as members of the audience, we get tempted by those headlines. But now, that's where media literacy also comes in. Like, what do you do in the morning? As soon as you wake up, what's your first action? I would suspect, at least within a certain age group, the first thing people do is put their mobiles on and look at the notifications. Now, if you have that problem, then you have already been sucked into that tunnel from which it's very difficult to try to come out. But then you need to make rules for yourself. I also use my phone, I also use social media. But then the only time I check my phone in the morning is around 9 o'clock when I'm about to get out and see what I have to do today. In fact, I almost missed the message from Chunji saying we are meeting at 8:15 because I don't check the phone at that time. So now it's all up to us. We need to, in a way, make rules for ourselves. My social media time is after 3 p.m. when I don't get anything in my head and when I can't do any other work that I want to do. Because I can't ignore the fact that it's there, but I don't want to get sucked into it. So I think the problem is clickbaits are a problem, and I think they're unethical, but they're not going to stop. So how you can avoid that is by training yourself and being disciplined on how you use and consume information from social media.
Thank you, sir. We are now back again with a quiz session for our audience. The question is, which government body in Nepal monitors and controls internet regulation? The options are A, Press Council Nepal, B, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, C, Nepal Telecommunications Authority, and D, Cyber Bureau of Nepal Police.
Option B, Ministry of what it was. So can you repeat that? I forgot the name.
Sorry?
Option B. So Sanchar तथा सूचना मन्त्रालय.
होइन.
होइन?
That is not the correct answer.
Wow.
I see your hand being raised over there. Okay, yes, please.
I'm Sonia Tamang, batch 2022 student. So the answer is option C, Nepal Telecommunication Authority.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. Moving on, let's dive into a topic that is both exciting and a little scary, and that is AI in journalism. With AI-generated videos, voices, and even news articles going viral, it is harder and challenging to tell what is real and what is fake. So, sir and ma'am, this question is for both of you, and this is also the last question. How does it affect ethical journalism practices, and can this space be regulated? I would like to repeat the question again in Nepali. AI-बाट उत्पन्न भएका भिडियो, आवाजहरू र इभन समाचार लेखहरू पनि भाइरल हुँदै जाँदै गइरहेका छन्। यो के वास्तविक हो र के नक्कली हो भनेर छुट्याउन पनि हामीलाई गाह्रो हुँदै गइरहेको छ। यसले नैतिक पत्रकारिता अभ्यासहरूलाई कसरी असर गर्छ र के यो ठाउँलाई नियम गर्न सकिन्छ? Let's start from ma'am.
एआई पनि मान्छेहरूले बनायो, त्यस कारण डराउनु पर्दैन क्या। एकदमै यो सबै कुरामा चाहिँ साह्रै डरै धेरै यो भयो। यो पत्रकारहरूलाई चाहिँ असाध्यै धेरै डर लाग्दो रहेछ। फेरि हाम्रो चाहिँ सब खोजिदिन्छन्, खाइदिन्छन्, केही हुँदैन। यो एआई चाहिँ कसले बनाएको भन्दा हामीले जस्तो अहिले कान्तिपुरको देख्छु मैले, कान्तिपुरले चाहिँ एआईबाट अडियो सुन्न मिल्ने बनाउँदो रहेछ समाचारमा। अनि त्यो मलाई राम्रो लाग्छ, किनभने त्यो बजाइदिन्छु अनि बिहानमा चाहिँ अब छोरीको लागि खाजासाजा बनाउन ढिलो हुन्छ नि त, बनाइरह्यो उता समाचार पनि सुनिरहन पाइन्छ। अनि यता अनलाइन खबरले एआई जेनेरेट गर्छ, तर त्यो एआई जेनेरेट गरेर समरी निकाल्दा चाहिँ कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ के हुँदो रहेछ भने अस्ति हामीले एउटा विद्या भट्टराईले राजीनामा दिएपछि विद्या भट्टराईले राजीनामा दिइन् भनेर लेखेको समाचारलाई चाहिँ विद्या भट्टराईको राजीनामा स्वीकृत भयो भन्दो रहेछ के एआई चाहिँ हामीभन्दा एक स्टेप अगाडि बढेर चाहिँ दिँदो रहेछ त्यो कुरालाई फेरि हामीले नै हेरेर त्यहाँ फेरि त्यसलाई एडिट गरेर एआई जेनेरेटेड कन्टेन्टलाई पनि एडिट गरेर अनि त्यसपछि पब्लिस गरिन्छ अरू त जस्तो एआई युज गरेर गरिराखेको देखिन्छ नि त जस्तो विज्ञापनहरू पनि त्यस्तै खालको देखिन्छ अझ नेताहरूले आफ्नो चुनावी प्रचार सामग्री बनाउन थालिसके एआईलाई प्रयोग गरेर एआईका मान्छेहरू बनाएर अनि अरू कन्टेन्ट क्रिएटरहरूले पनि बनाइराखेको देखिन्छ त्यो त क्रिएटिभिटीको एउटा नमुना त हो नि त किनभने यत्तिकै बनाएर हामीले यत्तिकै छोडिदिएर ल गर्न त भन्यो भने एआईले खास राम्रो बनाउँदैन नि त तर हामीले निर्देशन दिएको दे यस्तो गर फेरि यस्तो गर भन्यो भने न उसले राम्रो बनाएर देखाइदिने हो एआई यत्तिकै आउने होइन नि त एआई हामीले ल्याउने हो हाम्रै दिमागले ल्याउने हो हामीले गरेर जस्तो गर भन्ने हो त्यस्तै नै हुने हो त्यस कारणले एआई हाम्रो लागि चाहिँ पत्रकारिताको लागि अथवा मिडिया कन्टेन्टको लागि सोसियल मिडियाको लागि कुनै ठुलो बाधक होइन एआई चाहिँ एआई हामीलाई सघाउन आएको हो उसको सहयोग हामीले कसरी लिने हो त्यो हामीमा भर पर्छ भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
Again, I sometimes wonder whether I'm lucky to have been born very early or unlucky to have become born so early because like you guys have so many things going on. And with AI, actually like when it comes to journalism, the only problem I have with it is not declaring that you have used AI to do certain things while you are producing the content. Because if you do that, that disclosure is going to alert audiences about what's behind whatever they see. So I think in terms of how you regulate AI, again, it's up to the individual media to have codes and say, okay, these are the things where we have used AI. For example, if you need to crunch a lot of numbers, I think it's easier using AI rather than spend months to try to come up with manually churned up numbers. So I think AI is something I personally have tried to stay a little bit away from getting too much sucked into that because I want to see how it evolves and eventually over time might actually go in there. And now these are new areas for research, like looking at how AI is affecting Nepali journalism, for example, and how could it affect Nepali journalism like the other social platforms. For example, we were talking about are people digitally literate? Well, the answer is no, the short answer. But then now if you think about, do you want to make them literate digitally? How do you do it? Now suddenly, you don't have solutions because you can't do that through a project or 5 projects. So maybe institutions such as this and you young people who are studying journalism and are looking at how things are changing around you, maybe you could use your own social platforms to do that literacy messaging. That could be an idea, and if many people start doing that, suddenly people will start hearing more of the right things that could cause them to be careful about whatever is there online. And with AI, like I said, since I've not actually embraced it so far, I'm still on the sidelines. I think that's all I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, ma'am. Now, it is our honor to invite Mr. Jaco Dutoy, the UNESCO representative to Nepal, and our special guest for today's program.
Before taking up the role as a UNESCO representative, he was a program specialist in UNESCO France and has worked as an advisor in different positions in the organization itself. We would like to request student advisor Rakhi Bin to escort him to the stage.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. If I may, I have a question for you. I want to know how UNESCO actively engages youth in shaping and implementing its mandates, especially in areas like ethics in journalism and digital literacy.
Thank you very much for this opportunity also to be part of this panel and good day also to the other panelists. UNESCO highlights the importance of young people in its work, specifically as it relates to the interaction and the use of media. What is important for us is to inculcate media information literacy. So media information literacy is one of our major interventions in order to see how it can be part of the formal school system, how it can be part of the informal systems, specifically UNESCO clubs, some of the youth initiatives, and this will enable them also to, when they click, they know better what to expect and to make sure that they do the necessary verification and can also signal if there are content that they are not in favor with, because there are systems in place for people that can complain because of some of the content that is online. So I think in short, media information literacy is very important and that we promote. If we look also at citizen journalism, where young people also have a good role to play, it is also important for us then, of course, to include some of the ethical elements that are necessary, but also some of the digital skills. I think both of you mentioned the importance of new digital skills. These new digital skills relate to the use of fact-checking, verification also of deep fakes, etc. So these are new skills that young people and others need to acquire, and these are also important to take on board.
Thank you, sir. So would you also like to leave us with a concluding remark?
Thank you very much. Maybe a few remarks. The first one, I think as was said earlier, ethics is ethics and will always be the same because it's about values. So within the new era of social media and its role, I don't think we need to talk about new ethics. What is important is that we stick to the original ethics that is part of the journalism profession. But why is it so important today? And I think that is a question that begs to be answered because so many of the young people and others also make use of social media or non-media sources. I think you mentioned also that social media is not necessarily news. It's because by using ethics, we could give trust in the media. And people need to start trusting the media again so that it becomes the major source of information. So it is not optional today to adhere to the code of conduct that you mentioned. It is a must so that the profession of journalism can survive, so that people see the importance of information brokers like those that are journalists and go back to those sources you mentioned, to make that their primary source of information, and then look at the social media and other posts that come up. I would also like to mention the importance of, I mentioned already the importance of the new techniques. I think that that are necessary and that needs to be inculcated also by training institutions such as this institution. So these new skills are very important in order to highlight, but also new skills in order to gather information. Data mining, for example, data journalism. These are new elements of journalism where you can make a difference in making use of these sources and constructing stories around it. And then investigative journalism, we have a veteran here also, can make use of social media and others, verify the data, and then basically carry out the basics of what journalism is also about. So look also into these new forms of journalism that could make this profession, I think, also become a profession that people trust in. I would also like to mention that journalism shouldn't be just waiting for fake news and trying to debunk that fake news. And this is why these new techniques are so important, that you as journalists can make your own news from what is happening and be the front line, be in the social post because a journalist said something. Go and listen to the radio program, go and see the television program, go and read the article. This is possible if you also make your own news, and investigative journalism is so important. And then lastly, I just want to mention the importance of this new environment that we live in, where fake news, disinformation is part of our daily lives. But we then also need to look at new media sources. I think of influencers. What role do they play in making news? We talked about fact-checking, you mentioned. I think one of you also mentioned the importance, your question about the importance of publishing quickly. Of course, today you have to be quick, but then you can use fact-checking tools in order to help you. You can more easily access this different types of information. You can use AI to verify also some of this information. So all these new techniques are at your hand, and of course you have to manage data and information. But by managing it, don't forget to stay safe, because I think we also have to realize that the online environment and social media itself makes it actually a very dangerous place for journalists too, where social media also becomes a space where journalists are being stalked, where they're being harassed online. And that means that you as a journalist have to take care also of your online presence. You mentioned things come and haunt you many years afterwards. But we have to stay safe, you as journalists. UNESCO statistics show that many online harassments actually translate afterwards into possible harassment in itself. And I think the other thing that is important is also many journalists actually leave their job because of this online harassment. So there are many things happening also in Nepal in order to address online violence, specifically women journalists. But we could maybe talk about that later. Thank you so much for this very interesting panel discussion.
Thank you, sir. Now, we would like to open the floor to our audience for questions. If you have any questions for our panelists and a special guest, please don't hesitate to ask. Also, please do mention your name, batch, and major.
Good morning, sir. I am Garima Shrestha, student of journalism and major English from BA first year. My question is directed towards Mr. Jacko, sir. My question is, as an international representative, how have you observed journalism practices in Nepal? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So for myself, I'm still those that read newspapers. So I've read some of the newspapers with very interesting editorials, wide coverage of different issues that are taking place. Some of the in-depth journalism in some media outlets, I think, can go deeper into investigative journalism in order to really find the story behind the story. My second observation is I was recently at interaction with young people, and I realized that not many people listen to the radio, it seems. And I was quite surprised, because I'm one of those that even I'm here in Nepal, I still listen to my radio from my own country. So yeah, I was surprised to see that the radio journalism seemed to be not find its audience vis-a-vis young people. And in terms of television, I think because it's in Nepali, I haven't consumed Nepali television yet. So that is my my observation in terms of the three traditional media outlets. And then online journalism, I think very vibrant communities that talk about about issues, about the floods, about politics, about the state of safety of journalists, and many of the topics. So very varied, I think, also in the content.
So I have a question for panelists and our guest speaker as well. So म चाहिँ सुरुमा चाहिँ नेपालीमा प्यानलिस्ट हाम्रो सरको लागि चाहिँ क्वेसन सोध्छु। जस्तो अघि नै हजुरले भन्नुभएको कुरा चाहिँ मलाई एकदम चित्त बुझ्यो कि जस्तो सोशल मिडिया भनेको एउटा प्लेटफर्म हो हैन। अब अहिले हामी एआई को जमाना भन्छौँ, हामी चाहिँ अब नै म त एआई युज गर्दिनँ, एआई खत्तम हो भनेर भन्यो भने चाहिँ हामी एकदम पछाडि पर्छौँ। तर आजकल चाहिँ के छ भन्दाखेरि जस्तो अब हामीले कन्टेन्ट हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब जस्तो एकदम हतारमा न्युज आउने चलन छ। यो चाहिँ चोटि अब एउटा एकदम फेमस न्युज मिडिया आउटलेट छ, ब्रेकिङ न्युज, स्याड न्युज, गुड न्युज भनेर न्युज आइरहेको हुन्छ दिनदिनै हैन। यति न्युज गर्दाखेरि मेरो एउटा साथीको इन्फर्मेसन छापे रहेछ, मेरो साथी चाहिँ पोखराको तर उसले लेखेको चाहिँ गोर्खा भनेर लेख्दैछ हैन। अनि एकचोटि चाहिँ मेरो हजुरबा चाहिँ मजाले त्यो मिम हेर्दै हुनुहुँदो रहेछ। अब मिमलाई पनि न्युजको रूपमा लिन थाल्नु भएछ। ऊ हेर त एउटा फेमस पोलिटिसियन छ, रोको छ भनेर भन्नुभयो कि हैन। अब जस्तो हामीले मिडिया लिट्रेसीको कुरा गर्छौँ, लिट्रेसी भनेको त क ख ग घ मात्र सिकाउने हो नि त हैन। तर हामीले चाहिँ के बुझ्नुपर्छ भन्दाखेरि सबै न्युज चाहिँ न्यू इन्फर्मेसन हो, तर सबै न्यू इन्फर्मेसन चाहिँ न्युज होइन नि त भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ मिडिया लिट्रेसीबाट चाहिँ अब मिडिया एजुकेसनको तर्फमा हामी अगाडि बढ्नको लागि चाहिँ एज अ स्टुडेन्ट हैन, अहिले हामी कति मिडियाको स्टुडेन्टहरू छौँ अथवा हामी अहिले युथहरू छौँ, अनि एज अ मिडिया आउटलेट अनि एज अ गभर्नमेन्ट हामीले चाहिँ के कस्तो एक्सन्सहरू लिनुपर्छ, हामीले चाहिँ मिडिया लिट्रेसी भन्दा नि मिडिया एजुकेसनको फिल्डमा चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्नको लागि चाहिँ के गर्नुपर्छ त, जस्तो हामीले यो तिनटै तहबाट चाहिँ के गर्न सकिन्छ त भन्ने खालको हजुर दुवैजनाको चाहिँ पर्सपेक्टिभ आयो भने चाहिँ एकदम राम्रो हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ। एन्ड नाउ माई क्वेसन फर यु सर, आवर स्पेसल गेस्ट. So in news media, when I was studying in my +2, there was, while I was studying about news, they used to call every bad news is good news for news outlet. I think this is the motto most of us study, but I think this motto is the key for spreading misinformation and disinformation. So, and today we are in the time of war, there are many conflicts going on, external conflicts going on, and we can see the platform, the media outlets, some media outlets glorifying the harmful or violent deeds that they are doing. So what measure is UNESCO, what measure has UNESCO conducted to minimize disinformation and misinformation, particularly in the scenario of today's international conflict?
Thank you. एउटा चाहिँ अब अलिकति हामीले आफैलाई चाहिँ सच्याउनु पर्यो भने यो न्युज चाहिँ केवल न्युज मात्रै हुन्छ है, गुड न्युज र ब्याड न्युज भन्ने हुँदैन। यो गुड न्युज र ब्याड न्युज चाहिँ रिसिभरमा भर पर्ने हो, किनभने दीपक मनाङे भ्रष्टाचारी दोषी ठहर भन्ने न्युज दीपक मनाङेका लागि ब्याड न्युज हो, अरूका लागि गुड न्युज हो। त्यसकारणले चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ मिडियाको स्टुडेन्ट भएर मैले तपाईहरुलाई यति कुरा चाहिँ भनिराखेको, पछि हाम्रा गुरुहरूले मलाई चाहिँ पढाएन न, तपाईहरुलाई पढाउनुहुन्छ कि के गर्नुहुन्छ सर म्यामहरूले हैन, नभए पनि त्यो कुरा चाहिँ गरिराख्नु भनेर मैले पाएको मौकामा यति कुरा चाहिँ भनिदिएको। अनि अर्को चाहिँ अब यो हतार चाहिँ हतारै छ, हेर्नु अब के गर्नु, ब्रेकिङ गर्नुपर्छ, हाम्रो आफ्नो एकदमै मजबुरी छ, एकदमै दुःख छ, तनाव छ, त्यसैलाई पहिला ब्रेकिङ गर्यो, सूचना दियो एक लाइनको, त्यसपछि त्यसलाई समाचार बनायो, साँझ विश्लेषण गर्यो हैन। पहिला पत्रिकामा काम गर्दा एउटा मात्र गरे हुन्थ्यो, अहिले हामीले एउटै चिजलाई, अस्ति एससीको रिजल्ट आयो हैन, मैले एससीको रिजल्ट आयो, यतिजना पास यतिजना फेल, यसो यसो उसो भनेर एउटै समाचार लेखेको भए हुन्थ्यो नि त, मैले नै त्यहाँ 18वटा समाचार बनाएर गएँ। किन्तु त अब तान्नु पर्ने छ अडियन्स, नत्र विज्ञापन आउँदैन, विज्ञापन नआए स्यालेरी आउँदैन, हाम्रो समस्या छ। त्यस कारणले त्यो एकदमै सिधा स्पष्ट कुरा, त्यसो गर्दाखेरि चिप लिन्छ कहिलेकाहीँ। लेख्न त 3.6 GPA बाट 4 सम्म ल्याउने चाहिँ 48,000 कति भन्ने डेटा थियो, त्यो चाहिँ मैले 4.6 GPA लेख्दैछु हतार छ नि त दिनु पर्यो हतार हैन अनि त्यो गयो मान्छेले एकछिन उडाउन थाल्यो त्यसपछि त्यसलाई करेक्ट गरियो यो चाहिँ अब अनलाइन मिडिया हुँदासम्म र हामी चाहिँ फर्स्ट हुनुपर्छ भन्ने मिडियाहरूलाई हामीले चाहिँ सत्य दिनुपर्छ भन्ने भन्दा पनि हामी फर्स्ट हुनुपर्छ भन्ने अझै पनि हाम्रो मानसिकतामा छ त्यो मानसिकता हाम्रो चेन्ज नहुँदासम्म चाहिँ तपाईले भने जस्तो पोखराको गोर्खा गोर्खाको पोखरा पोखराको म्याग्दी हैन यो चाहिँ भइराख्ने नै होला यसलाई हामीले एक्सेप्ट पनि गर्ने हो र यसलाई चाहिँ कसरी सुधार्न सकिन्छ त भनेर लाग्ने हो अब यो ढिलो गर्छु तर सत्य दिन्छु भन्ने हुँदा चाहिँ अब हामीलाई टिक्न गाह्रो हुन्छ छिटो पनि गर्छु साँचो पनि गर्छु भन्ने हिसाबले अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ त्यसरी बढ्दा चाहिँ हामीलाई नै अलिकति एकदमै एडभान्स बनाउन जरुरी छ त्यसको लागि अघि हामीले भने जस्तो विभिन्न खालका टुलहरू छन् त्यसलाई प्रयोग गर्ने अब अहिले त गर्न इन्टरभ्यू लिएको पनि उतार दिनको लागि गुगल AI स्टुडियो आइसक्यो नि त नत्र त सुनेर गर्न जति मिनेट हो त्यति लाग्थ्यो अब त्यस्ता कुराहरू चाहिँ हामीले युज गर्दै छिटो पनि हुने र सत्य पनि हुने भन्नेमा चाहिँ हामी लाग्ने हो अब यसमा चाहिँ अब मैले आफैले पनि आत्मसमीक्षा गर्ने आफैले पनि हो भनेर रियलाइज गर्ने नै कुरा हो यो छ र यो छ भनेर चलिरहन्छ फेरि र यो निकै पछिसम्म चल्छ जतिन्जेलसम्म चाहिँ मिडिया हाउसहरूले पत्रकारहरूलाई बलियो बनाउनका लागि अलिकति मेहनत गर्दैनन् राम्रा पत्रकारिताकै स्टुडेन्टहरू चाहिँ जर्नलिजममा आउँदैनन् त्यतिन्जेलसम्म चाहिँ यो ट्रान्जिसनल फेज भनिएको छ यो अझै 1-2 वर्ष चाहिँ जान्छ होला जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
उहाँले धेरै कुरा भनिहाल्नुभयो हैन म दुईटा मात्रै कुरा त्यसमा थप्छु एउटा चाहिँ जस्तो हतारमा गर्ने भन्ने चाहिँ त्यो मलाई चाहिँ फर सम रिजन त्यो कहिले पनि भएन किनभने म त्यो एज भन्दा भनौँ न इन्टरनेट सोशल मिडिया आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ आई ह्याड इन अ वे almost stopped doing day-to-day journalism and was doing something else. त्यसले गर्दा I consider myself lucky I didn't have to rush after headlines. But again, I think over time the audiences are smart enough. They won't go back to headlines that have not been correct all the time. They'll stop doing that. And again, now, if you look at my habit of consuming media, like I don't think many of you will believe if I tell you, to this date, I have not gone to a news site, especially the Nepali news portals, any site, not even online cover, to go and find information that I want. I'm too busy for that. I have better things to do than go to a website and look for information unless I need it. So what I do is I rely on some sort of mediation, which is there are people using Twitter that I trust. And if they talk about some news story that I think I should not miss and have a link over there, then I click on that. See, I'm already using a system of mediation for myself. And all of you will have to do that if you don't want to get bogged down by information that's useless, because that's one way you can try to find information that could be of use to you. See, I'm a little different because I was lucky in some respects and I can avoid many things that I don't want to right now. Thank you.
Thank you for your question also about what UNESCO is doing vis-a-vis mis and disinformation. I think the first point that is important is to understand that the ecosystem in which mis and disinformation operates begs for the intervention of multiple partners. So, of course, journalists need skills and better investigative journalism skills. So we work in the capacity building of journalists, specific in topics, such as last week we concluded a workshop on environmental journalism, for example. So many topics that we try to inculcate more investigative journalism techniques in order to combat mis and disinformation. We also promote the networking among journalists, very much in what you are saying, where people you can trust and that you can exchange stories. This week we had a workshop, for example, between Nepali and Indian journalists that could look at environmental journalism, where there's a common geographical area that they can report and verify information also across borders. So those are examples of journalists. I think that we also need to understand that internet platforms also have a responsibility today. And here UNESCO published a few years ago internet platform guidelines in order for platforms also to combat disinformation, to remove that information once due diligence has taken place, in order to make processes transparent. You mentioned the use of AI and how this should be made transparent. Mechanisms for people to complain also if they think that information is disinformation. So we work around the space of also the internet providers. Also, governments have a responsibility in order to make sure that self-regulation takes place, but also that there's a safe environment for journalists to operate in. So we work with governments also on policies, etc. Editors and others, they have to adhere to, I think what you mentioned, codes of conduct within the media houses. So we encourage and help them also to establish this element. And then, of course, the consumers of information, and here we talked earlier about media information literacy, and we inculcate also those skills within formal and non-formal education. So it is by addressing the needs of a range of stakeholders that UNESCO tries to play a role. But in all of these interventions, we cannot do it without journalists, without journalists' associations, and those that produce information. So very important that we also look at the process when UNESCO is carrying out these initiatives. Thank you.
I think this will be the number of questions that we'll be taking. As we wrap up, it's clear that ethics in journalism are evolving. So in a world where everyone is a content creator and has access to get information, let's be more mindful of the mediums we are getting the news from, and as well as media literacy and accountability and truth being more important than ever. Thank you.
Thank you to our wonderful panelists and a special guest for their insightful answers. And thank you to our...
Excuse me, only one question.
Okay, sure. This is the last question we will be taking.
Sure, thank you. नमस्कार, मेरो नाम अनिता पन्त, म तेस्रो वर्ष साइकोलोजी सोशल वर्कको स्टुडेन्ट. मेरो प्रश्न चाहिँ बिनुजीलाई. बिनुजी, तपाईको पत्रकारिता मलाई जस्तो हुनुपर्ने त्यस्तै छ जस्तो लाग्छ. त्यसको ठाडो र गरिनुपर्ने प्रश्न गर्नुहुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. त्यसको प्रमुख उदाहरण भनेको स्ट्रेट टक विथ बिनु सुवेदी नै छ. अनि अर्को उदाहरण भनेको महरा प्रकरणमा रोशनीजीले कतै नपताएको कथा भनेर जसरी मेन्सन गर्नुभएको छ. स्याडली रोशनीजी हामी माझ हुनुहुन्न अहिले, अनि यो एकदमै दुःखद खबर पनि हो. त्यस्तै गरी अर्को उदाहरण भनेको दाइहरूको डर भनेर जसरी हजुरले गर्नुभएको छ त्यो पनि छ. कुरा के भने यसरी प्रश्न गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ देयर आर मेनी कन्सिक्वेन्सेस. यसको इक्जाम्पल अर्को हिल्टन केसै छ होइन. सो प्रश्न के भने कसैले नगरेको प्रश्न गर्दै गर्दाखेरि तपाईँले भोग्नु परेको र भोगिरहेको असरहरू के छ, र तपाईँ यदि मेल जर्नलिस्ट भइदिएको भए के हुन्थ्यो, के फरक हुन्थ्यो? अहिले जसरी फिमेल हुनुहुन्छ अहिले चाहिँ के फरक छ? त्यही नै मेरो प्रश्न.
थ्याङ्क यू. म मेल जर्नलिस्ट भएको भए के फरक हुन्थ्यो भन्नेबाट सुरु गर्छु होइन. यदि म मेल जर्नलिस्ट हुन्थेँ भने अहिले कुनै मिडियाको सम्पादक हुन्थेँ. किनभने म कम्प्रोमाइज गर्थेँ, कि कम्प्रोमाइज गर्न नसकिँदो रहेछ क्या. म सम्पादक त भएँ नि एउटा मिडियामा, तर 4 महिनाभन्दा धेरै टिक्न सकिनँ. किन त्यहाँ त एकदम धेरै कम्प्रोमाइज हुँदो रहेछ. माथि माथि गएपछि त अनेक चिज हुँदो रहेछ. त्यहाँ त समाचार मात्रै नहुँदो रहेछ मिडियामा त. त्यसपछि अब यो चाहिँ मेरो बाटो होइन भन्ने मलाई लाग्यो. त्यस कारणले म तपाईँहरूलाई पनि के भन्छु भने एकदम राम्रो पत्रकार बन्ने हिसाबले चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्नुहोस् साथीहरू. सम्पादकै बन्छु भन्ने सपना चाहिँ नदेख्नुहोस्. हामी चाहिँ पत्रकार राम्रो चाहिँ हामी आफ्नो खुबीले हुने हो, आफ्नो बलले हुने हो, आफ्नो क्षमताले हुने हो. तर सम्पादक हुनलाई चाहिँ त्यहाँ अनेक चिज हुँदो रहेछ. त्यो चाहिँ हामी जस्तो छुच्चो मान्छे टिक्न नसकिँदो रहेछ. छुच्चो भएन भने फेरि पत्रकार बन्न सकिँदैन, राम्रो पत्रकार बन्न सकिँदैन. त्यहाँ त कन्फ्युजन भयो नि त होइन. अनि अब राम्रो पत्रकार बन्नकै लागि यो पैसा नि कमाउनु छैन, केही कमाउनु छैन, केही न केही गर्छु, यो चित्त नबुझेको कुरो गर्छु भनेर हामी आयो नि त। त्यस कारणले राम्रो पत्रकार चाहिँ म सायद बने होला जस्तो लाग्छ आजसम्मको समयमा हेर्दाखेरि। किनभने मलाई सरकार जो सरकारमा छन् तिनैले गाली गर्छन्, प्रतिपक्षमा भएकाले यो राम्रै हो भन्ठान्छन् होइन। त्यसो हुँदा नि मैले राम्रै गरेँ होला भन्ने लाग्छ। जो शक्ति केन्द्रमा छन् उनीहरूले मलाई खराब देख्छन्। फेरि अरू जो भुइँ मान्छे भन्न मलाई मन लाग्दैन, जो ग्रास रुटबाट आइराखेका छन्, जो हामी जस्तै हाम्रो वरिपरिका छन्, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हाम्रै आवाज बोल्छे भन्ठान्छन् जस्तो लाग्छ। त्यस कारणले आजसम्म म सही ट्र्याकमा छु भन्ठान्छु। कहिलेकाहीँ आफूले आफैलाई धाप मार्न मिल्यो भने मैले मार्थेँ जस्तो लाग्छ क्या, किनभने हामीलाई अरूले प्रशंसा गरिदिँदैन नि त। अर्को चाहिँ भोगेको कुराको चाहिँ अब कुरै नगरौँ, त्यो त तपाईँ साइकोलोजीको विद्यार्थी पनि भएको भएर त्यसरी पनि सोध्नु भयो होला। कान्तिपुरको न्युज रुममा मैले काम गर्दाखेरि सरकारी त्यो विभिन्न नगरपालिकाको प्रमुख प्रशासकीय अधिकृत त्यस्ताहरूले यसलाई टुँडीखेलमा लगेर बलात्कार गर्नुपर्ने भनेर मेरो समाचारको मुनि नै कमेन्ट गरिरहेका हुन्थे होइन। म त अब एकदमै साइकोलोजिकल्ली नै म एकदमै डिस्टर्ब भइसकेको थिएँ। त्यही तपाईँले भन्नुभएको महराको रोशनीको स्टोरी लेख्दाखेरि चाहिँ सबैले महराको साइडबाट गरेका थिए नि त। महरा सबै महरा यस्तो महरा उस्तो, रोशनी नै त्यस्तो, संसद सचिवालयमा सबैलाई दुःख दिन्थिन् त दिन्थिन्, किन दिन्थिन् भन्ने कुरा त खोज्नु पर्थ्यो होला नि त। म राति 12 बजेसम्म तिनको कोठामा बसेँ, तिनको श्रीमान पनि थियो रहेछन्, तिनले पनि मलाई त्यही नै एक किसिमको हेरेसमेन्ट गरिसकेका थिए। त्यहाँबाट आएर लेखिसकेपछि त्यो बेलाका माओवादीहरू होइन, त्यो त नेकपा ठुलो नेकपा झन्डै 2/3 बहुमतको सरकार भएको बेलाका माओवादी, अनि त्यो उनीहरूले गर्ने ह्यारेसमेन्ट, उनीहरूले गर्ने कुरा त्यो चाहिँ अब भनेर पनि अब साध्य छैन। अब अनफर्चुनेटली उहाँले न्याय पनि पाउन सक्नु भएन होइन। अब फेरि मैले त पछि लेख्छु, किनभने रोशनीलाई चाहिँ कसरी चाहिँ उनलाई चाहिँ फरक बयान दिन लागियो भन्ने स्टोरी लेख्छु भन्दा कुनै पनि त्यस्तो मिडिया तयार भएन त्यो स्टोरी छाप्नको लागि। मैले त्यतिखेर काम गरिरहेको कान्तिपुर मिडिया पनि तयार भएन, किनभने रोशनीलाई चाहिँ कसरी बाध्य पारियो भन्ने अर्को छुट्टै स्टोरी थियो मसँग। त्यस्तो त्यो नछापिएका त्यो दुःखी गरिबका कुराहरू ल्याउँदाखेरि छाप्न नमानेका, पीडितका कुरा ल्याउँदाखेरि छाप्न नमानेका भन्ने त कति उदाहरण छन्। हामीले यस्तो कुरालाई नै हामीले त कम्प्रोमाइज गर्न चाहिँ मेन्टल्ली प्रिपेयर भएर मात्रै जर्नलिजम गर्नुपर्दो रहेछ जस्तो लाग्छ क्या। अब नजाने तपाईँहरूको पालामा फेरि चेन्ज हुन्छ कि, चेन्ज हुन्छ नि त डाइनामिक्स त। 10-10 वर्षमा देशको पोलिटिक्स चेन्ज भए जस्तै पत्रकारिता पनि चेन्ज होस् भन्ने चाहन्छु म। अनि अर्को चाहिँ अब दाइहरूको डर भने जस्तो कुरा गर्नुभयो तपाईँले, त्यो हो। अब म त 15 वर्ष हुँदाखेरि पत्रकारिता सुरु गरेको, पत्रकारिता सुरु गर्दा डाइरेक्ट पोलिटिकल जर्नलिजम गरेको हो। सबैभन्दा गाह्रो र खराब ठाउँ नै पोलिटिक्स रहेछ। नेताहरू पनि त्यस्तै, त्यहाँ काम गर्ने पत्रकारहरू पनि त्यस्तै। एक पाइला अगाडि बढ्यो भने त त्यहाँ एउटै ह्यारेसमेन्ट हुन्थ्यो। त्यसलाई चाहिँ अहिले म यति धेरै छुचो खालको, यति धेरै भोकल किन भएको होला भन्ने चाहिँ अब मसँग त्यो सहन सक्ने क्षमता छैन। अब त मैले प्रश्न नगरेसम्म त हुँदै हुन्न जस्तो लाग्छ क्या। प्रश्न नगरेसम्म ठुलो स्वर नगरे त हेपिहाल्छन् नि केटाहरूले। सबै केटा बुढाखाडाहरू झन् उस्तै, बरु हामीभन्दा अलिक साना त बरु ठिकै हो के। हाम्रै उमेरकाहरू बरु साथीहरूमा चाहिँ इम्प्याथेटिक थट हुँदो रहेछ, म जस्तै हो भन्ने हुँदो रहेछ कतिपय अवस्थामा। आफूभन्दा साना त भाइ बहिनी नै भए। सिनियरहरूबाट यति गाह्रो, यति समस्या कि भोलि मेरा साथीहरू त तपाईँहरूको सिनियर हुने हो, समस्या त त्यही हो फेरि। त्यस कारणले चाहिँ आफूलाई, मलाई अहिले म त्यो अनलाइन खबरको म जुन न्युज रुममा बसेर काम गर्छु, त्यो न्युज रुममा 17-18 जना छन्, एकजना केटी म छु। सबैभन्दा ठुलो स्वर मेरो हुन्छ। म त्यसरी नबोले त हुँदै हुनु सम्भवै छैन। रिपोर्टिङमा जान्छु, कहिलेकाहीँ नेताहरूलाई भेट्न जान्छु, के गर्न जान्छु, तपाईँहरूलाई कसरी भनौँ म मेरो मोबाइल चाहिँ रेकर्डमा राखेर म तत्तत केही नेताहरूलाई सूचना त ल्याउनु नै छ, त्यो मान्छे भेट्नु छ, आफू सुरक्षित हो कि होइन थाहा छैन। म के गर्छु भने मेरो मोबाइल रेकर्डमा राखेर, मोबाइल गोजीमा राखेर अनि त्यो मान्छेलाई भेट्न जान्छु। बाहिर सार्वजनिक ठाउँमा उसले सूचना दिँदैन, सूचना लिन जानुपर्छ उसको गोप्य कोठामा, त्यहाँ के हुने हो थाहा छैन भनेको। आफूलाई चाहिँ बचाई बाल अनि त्यो मेरो सहकर्मी त म सँगसँगै काम गर्ने अर्को पुरुष केटाले त के गर्छ, रातिसँगै रक्सी खाएर सूचना लिन्छ नि त। मेरो बाध्यता के छ, मोबाइल रेकर्ड गरेर सूचना लिन जानुपर्ने छ। मेरो सहकर्मी बेलुका बसेर सँगै रक्सी खाएर सूचना लिन्छ। अनि मान्छेहरू, अब मैले ब्रेकिङ गर्छु धेरैजसो समाचारहरू जो मान्छेहरूले पोलिटिकल रिपोर्टिङमा चाहिँ यसले के लेख्छ होला भनेर हेर्छन् जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई होइन। लेख्छु केटी मान्छे भएर लेखिक्यो भनिदिइहाल्छन् फेरि, आफूलाई त्यो दुःख छ होइन। यी यस्ता खालका धेरै के भन्छ एकदमै नमिल्दा कुराहरू छन् के विरोधाभासहरू गर्न चाहेको पनि छ गर्न खोजिराखेको पनि छ दुःख पनि छ त्यसको कथाहरू चाहिँ फेरि तपाईहरुले अर्को खालको हुन्छ नि यो महिला पत्रकार भएर आफूलाई कसरी टिकाएर चाहिँ एउटा ठाउँमा पुग्ने भनेर एउटा सिरिज चलाउनु भयो जुनु सरहरूले गर्नुभयो भने चाहिँ म फेरि आएर तपाईहरुलाई अझ हुन्छ नि अझ राम्रोसँग भन्न सक्छु जस्तो लाग्छ दुःख छ दुःखसँग संघर्ष पनि छ तर परिणाम पनि त छ नि त अहिले त यहाँ यसो हेर्दाखेरि तपाईहरुले महिला किन बोलाउनु भयो होला भन्दा ती सबै चीज हेरेर बोलाउनु भयो होला नि त त्यो चाहिँ छ फेरि बस थ्यांक यू
Thank you so much. I think you are done with your questions, so I take this opportunity. I am Sushil Paudel, Faculty of English, and thank you, Binuji, for being so vocal and such a confessional in this forum. The question is that I was reading Noam Chomsky, The Manufacturing Consent. The question is for Binod sir, and Chomsky outlined the propaganda model, and where he argues that media serves the public, rather than public, it serves some authority or dominant elite group. What do you think what the mainstream media of Nepal is serving? Like Binuji is saying that she is serving the public, and some other, even the journalists, they argue that they are serving for the public. But Chomsky's idea is that media serves the elite group rather than the public. What is your take on this?
Well, now this is a big question on the political economy of media. And I think there's truth on both sides. Like people like Binuji and others who actually try to do real journalism are actually serving the public. There's no question about that. But not just in Nepal, if you look at any media political economy around the world, you tend to see some truth in what Chomsky said about the propaganda model, where the media is serving the interests of the rich and the powerful. And in Nepal, sadly, that's very obvious, because if you look at media, we have just too many of them. Close to 10,000 if you count all of them together. 5,045 online platforms when I last counted them, maybe 2 weeks ago. Then you add all the traditional media that's been there. There's been so much competition, and I say that most of the media are technically non-viable, but then they still survive. So something is happening that we don't know, something that's happening behind the scenes. Like, how do they stay in business? Simple question. So maybe there are some trade-offs being made, which sadly was the topic of my thesis, something called media capture. So you see, there's been a lot of tendencies towards capture by commercial interests, and in terms of political interests, sadly again, in Nepal, journalists are organized along political lines. Say, I think I've read interviews of editors that say that over 90% of journalists are affiliated or close to one political party or another. And in such a situation, do you expect those journalists to serve the interests of the public or of their political masters? So these type of questions, there are no right or wrong answers, no black and white. It's in the gray area. And then the more you study and research these issues, you start getting a clearer picture. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
Once again, thank you to our wonderful panelists and a special guest for their insightful answers. And thank you to our audiences for being so engaged. Let's all walk away today with a stronger sense of responsibility for the information we consume and share. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Over to the MCs.
I request our guests and moderators to join the audience. We'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to them for the insightful words, which has deepened our understanding of the ethical journalism in the digital world. Over the past decades, social media has become an essential tool for journalists to conduct research and engage with wider audience. It positively impacts their ability to connect with their audience, identify stories to cover, find sources, gather accurate information, and build trust in the news they produce.
Social media presents journalists with extraordinary opportunities for news broadcasting, audience engagement, and storytelling. But it also poses significant challenges in terms of authenticity, misinformation, and ethical consideration. As journalism continues to evolve in the digital age, journalists must adopt social media as a valuable tool while upholding the principle of accuracy, transparency, and integrity to faithfulness and loyalty of their reporting. We hope, we hope that after today's discussion on journalism ethics in the age of social media, with our esteemed experts, all the aspiring journalists present here gain some valuable insights, clarity, and inspiration to navigate the evolving media landscape with responsibility and purpose.
Moving on, I'd like to request our Head of Department of Major Arts, Shishir Kumar Bhusal sir, to come forward and present a token of love and letter of appreciation to our special guest. I request our special guest, Mr. Yako Duttuet, to come on the stage. I request the designated volunteers to assist with the process. I request the special guest to please stay back for the photo session. Now, I'd like to request guest speakers to come forward and receive their token of love and letter of appreciation. Special I request the special guest to please come forward for the photo session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Next, I'd like to request coordinator of Media Talk series, Chun Bahadur Gurung sir, to present the prize to the quiz winners. I'd like to request the volunteers for their assistance. I'd like to call upon the stage Rosie Shrestha from second year, section C, Amisha Shrestha from third year, section A, and Sonia Tamang from third year, section C.
Thank you, Chun sir. Now, we have come to the end of our event. I would like to call Tisha Maharjan from BA third year to deliver a vote of thanks and officially conclude this event. I, Sushmita Pahari,
And I, Ashrava Shukla, are signing off for today. Have a wonderful time ahead.
Thank you, Sushmita and Arshava. Good morning and namaste, everyone. It is indeed a great honor and privilege for me, Tisha Maharjan, a third-year journalism student, to stand before you to present the vote of thanks of the conclusion of what has been a thought-provoking and enriching event of Media Talk series. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to our special guest, Mr. Jaco de Toit, the UNESCO representative to Nepal, for your invaluable time, the concluding remarks and interaction with us. The UNESCO office in Nepal from 2020 continues to support us. Nirjana Sharma ma'am, the former UNESCO representative to Nepal, Mr. Christian Manhart and Michelle Korft also participated as the speakers at the Media Talk series in the past. Heartfelt thanks to UNESCO office in Nepal. We're also grateful to our respected guest speakers, Dr. Binod Bhattrai sir and Binu Subedi ma'am, for joining us today. We truly appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge and experiences. Your stories and insight help us connect what we learn in the classroom with the real world, and we are grateful for that. A big thank you to our Father Director, Dr. Bobby Joseph S.J., and Head of the Department of Major Arts, Sishi Kumar Bhusal sir, for your continued support and guidance. I would also like to express my gratitude to Chun Bahadur Gurung sir, our faculty lead and faculty coordinator of Media Talk series. Sir, your effort over past 5 years has made Media Talk a great learning platform from all of us. I would also like to thank Pooja Giri ma'am, Binod Adhikari sir, Karuna Devkota ma'am, and Mani Karmacharya sir for your support and guidance. I'd also like to recognize the presence of the student representative from Madan Bhandari Memorial College. We're pleased to have you here. To our organizing committee, thank you for working so hard behind the scenes and making everything run so smoothly. And to our lovely audience, your energy, attention, and thoughtful question made this session meaningful. These events are for you, and your active participation has made all the difference. Events like Media Talk series remind us that learning goes beyond the classroom. They help us grow, think deeper, stay connected with the changing world of media. Before we end, please remember to fill out the feedback forms sent to you through your emails and is also added at the YouTube live description. Your feedback helps us improve our future session. As we wrap up, let's take this lesson home from today and carry them forward. See you all again at our next session of Media Talk series on November 30, 2025. Now, I kindly invite our guest speakers, teachers, and organizing committee to the stage for our group photo. Students, please exit the hall in an orderly manner. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day ahead.